Welcome, everyone, to All British Comedy Explained, the podcast where I, Abigoliah Schamaun, finally learn about all the British comedies I have been missing out on. And with me is Tom Salinsky.
I'm going to give myself a mic just to be super professional about this.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize it wasn't. Are we tired? I can't tell.
A little bit.
And with me is Tom Salinsky.
Hello there.
Hello. Today we bring you all one of our very special episodes with a guest. We are going to have on the fabulous Reverend Sara Chesterfield Terry.
That's a hell of a name.
Isn't it?
It's right up there with Pradilla Scales.
I know. I mean, she doesn't sound real, and yet she has been on our podcast.
Yes.
Reverend Sara is a Church of England vicar and a lifelong British comedy fan who grew up enjoying classics from the Monty Python to the Vicar of Dibley. She's passionate about inclusive and intergenerational church communities, bringing warmth, humor into every conversation, with a background that includes policing and civil engineering along with ministry. Sara offers a unique perspective on faith, laughter, and the delightful quirks of church life. So we just had the interview, and it was just so great to talk to Reverend Sara after watching.
Fully lived up to the hype. She's incredible. So interesting to talk to.
And I mentioned her very briefly in our episode of the Vicar of Dibley because I was like, I know one Church of Eve vicar. And it was I just found it so fascinating what she had to say about the Vicar of Dibley as a vicar herself.
And it's possibly also worth pointing out that early on in our conversation, you can hear some scrabbling noises. And that's her little dog, who I think you can also glimpse in the corner of the frame if you're watching the YouTube version. But it doesn't last too long, and so hopefully it won't be too much of a distraction. And who doesn't want a little dog appearing with your podcast?
Yeah, just a little adorable greyhound, just a tiny little dog.
Yeah.
So you might hear that in the background. But, well, should we just get straight into it?
Let's go straight in.
All right, here we go.
The Spontaneity Shop presents All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky, and our special guest, Reverend Sara Chesterfield Terry.
Well, Sara, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. I've been really excited because actually just listening to all the episodes and kind of listening to all the guests, I'm in the same realm as David Tennant. That's amazing.
That is how that works.
Yeah. Well, the reason why we wanted to have you on is Sara and I, for our listeners, we met you were so kind to give me and Ria Lena, another fabulous comedian, a lift one time when all the trains were down. And as I've told you, you are one of the most fascinating and interesting people I've ever met.
No, I'm not. I'm really, no, honey, you need to get out more. There are far more interesting people than me. I'm really very, very dull. I haven't done anything exciting, I promise you.
Well, you are also the only vicar I know. So
okay,
there.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that one. But, again, vicars don't get out much. They don't like us kind of getting out into the real world because that's kind of scary. And we might say stuff and So, yeah.
So that's why we've decided to have you on a podcast, because now you can say anything you want.
Yeah, I'd still like to get a new parish, so I possibly won't. I was also looking at most of the original kind of main cast of Vicar of Dibley. Sadly, no longer with us. They've gone off to join the ultimate Vicar of Dibley. But yes.
Yeah, this is what happens if you build your cast around eccentric old men. They tend not to last long enough to come back and do 50-year reunions.
Well, I think that's very short-sighted. I'm disappointed.
Yeah. So, Sara, I don't know you anything like as well as Abigoliah does. Can you fill me in? Tell us about your career to date, because I understand that there are some interesting ports of call along the way. Until you ended up in the dog collar.
Right. So, I mean, let's go. Okay. So, when I was at university first time around, I went to Kingston and I did civil engineering, and I worked as a door supervisor for two reasons. One, it pays incredibly well compared to most student jobs. And secondly, it's all at night, which means that actually you can, in terms of actually kind of doing lectures and studies and all the rest of it, it worked really well. And also you get to go to nightclubs for free, and it's a bit more fun. So that kind of started off there. So when I looked at doing civil engineering as a degree, I thought I can either build beautiful things or useful things, and it all turned out to be about trying to make money, and that sucked because that's really not what I'm about. And so I was working a lot with the police, obviously, because doing what I was doing, and actually I could see them make a difference. So that's when the PCSO role was first starting out. So we're looking at 2005-ish, when I was just finishing university. So I went off and joined up as a PCSO, did that for 6 years, and partway through that I got my calling to be a vicar, as one does, obviously. And so from there I went back to university, went up to Oxford, did 3 years, mostly in Oxford, a little bit in Rome, and then I became a vicar. And then I came out as trans. Now I am still a priest, so there's priest and vicar slightly different. So, but I am working in a civil job, but I am also doing vicary stuff on the side occasionally on Sunday.
Tell us the difference between priest and vicar, because I remember Abigoliah asking me questions about that, and I had to say that is outside my core competence area.
Okay, so the three terms we want to go for are actually there's more than that. I'm going to do a Monty Python, and I'll come in again.
Yes.
So okay. So there's deacon, priest, and bishop. Those are the three kind of classes of clergy. So everybody, when you're first ordained, is a deacon, and that's Greek for servant. Okay, so you spend at least the first year of your ministry as a deacon. There are some who remain permanent deacons, and they'll assist at services, but they cannot lead the service, but they can't do weddings either. So they're not lower down, but they have a slightly different role. After that year, most deacons become priests, so you get ordained as a priest, which the bishop lays hands, puts holy oil on your hands, all the rest of it, and then you can lead services, then you can do weddings, and then you can become a bishop, which is basically like a kind of manager of a load of clergy. And obviously there's archbishops as well, but they're very few and far between. But so that's the kind of the categorization. In terms of priest versus vicar, everybody who is a vicar is also a priest, but every priest is not a vicar unless they have their own parish. Okay, right. So the whole of England and Wales and Scotland are broken up into little kind of geographical areas called parishes, and they will generally have their own church. And traditionally, originally, they would have had their own vicar as well. You now get some where lots of parishes are shoved together into what's called a benefice, and they'll have a small team of clergy to do it. And Abigoliah, I can see your face.
No. I'm very interested in it. So, can a priest start their own parish, or every parish has to be sanctioned by the Church of England?
So the Church of England has already chopped up every part of the country into parishes. So you do get what's called church planting, and so you will get certain priests will be sent into an area, and they'll create another church community. So they generally won't take over the original church building, which can be a blessing or a curse depending on how you view church buildings, especially some of the ancient ones, which are incredibly expensive to maintain. But they will be starting a new worshipping community, and they'll generally kind of hire a hall or a bit of a school, and they'll do it that way. So you do get that's more where you're on what's called a bishop's mission order. So lots of boring technical language, but so this is where the bishop has sent this priest to go off and create a new worshipping community. But generally, they won't do weddings and funerals, but they'll probably do baptisms. And that still needs to go back to the local church. But they won't have all the kind of having to manage the building itself, but they will be kind of within a parish. But they can also cross parish boundaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It almost sounds like franchises, but not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it does. No, you're not far off, except the having to kind of the startup capital slightly less, and yeah. And
can I just ask, because how did you, I don't even know how to say the words, how did you receive your calling, or how did the calling happen? Because it sounds like quite an intense spiritual thing.
It was bizarre. So I mean, I was really happy being a PCSO. So I love my job. I had an amazing team that I worked with. I had a really good partner who I was working with, and I love what I was doing. This was so much fun. I was working in a kind of a semi-rural town, and basically got stuck into everything. I was doing a lot of good. I think a lot of good stuff. Actually, it was very worthwhile. And then one day I got stuck in my head. You need to go into ministry. You need to become a priest. And I tried ignoring it. And the best way to describe it is like, Like if you're up in the hills and there's a thunderstorm, you can hear the thunder rolling around. Sometimes really loud, sometimes a little bit quieter, but constantly, vroom, vroom. And it was this thought stuck. You need to go to mission. You need to come. You need to go. And after about like 6 months of trying to ignore this really, really irritating intrusive thought, I basically, fine, okay, I called up a lovely, lovely vicar friend of mine who'd known me since I was like 5, Father Simon. I think he's still with us, hopefully. This was a very long time ago. I said to him, look, this is what I've been thinking, this is what I've been feeling. Can you tell me I'm being an idiot so I can get on with my life? Because, like I said, I really enjoy what I was doing. I loved my job. I loved my, it wasn't a career, it was just a job, but I loved it. And it's like, nope, you've got to go and do something about it. Go speak to a local vicar and off you go. And so I did, and then I dragged my feet for as long as possible. So I spent 4 years avoiding this thing. So because the whole process is bizarre, because you need no qualifications to be a vicar. You need when you go and speak to your local vicar and say, hey, I think I want to be ordained. I think I want to be a priest. You can have no qualifications whatsoever. And so it's basically all on, does the church think that you've got the right sort of qualities to be able to be a priest?
The old boys club.
No, not really. It's more bizarre than that. Because like, it was the old boys, like, oh yeah, but we know you're fine. It's lots of kind of, they want to make sure you're not mad, bad or dangerous to know.
Right.
I think that's a fair thing to ask.
Yeah, but Abigoliah, you've met me.
Therefore, I know you're not bad, mad, or dangerous to know.
Okay, clearly you don't know me. So there's lots of kind of conversations, lots of assessments, lots of prayer, and it's basically, do you actually have a genuine sense of calling? Do you have a genuine love of God? Do you understand what this entails? And so there's a whole process to go through. And then I think it's all changed now because they keep changing the process, but you then eventually end up spending 3 days with a load of other potential clergy being assessed on everything you do. And basically the assessment starts as soon as you arrive, everything, including like how, at mealtime, all the rest of it. The only thing they don't assess you on is how you pray. Like, do you like your hands in the air? Do you like to go like this? Are you eyes closed? Are you on your knees? However you like to pray. That's the only thing they don't assess you on. But apart from that, is how do they interact with other people? How do they, actually, when they're sitting, are they just being really selfish, just taking for themselves? Are they actually trying to help other people? It's kind of stuff which I think to a certain extent I would say should be standard. Because actually, if you're sharing a meal with people, you make sure other people have got. You don't just take for yourself. But it's a lot of that sort of stuff. But it's also you have to give a 5-minute talk on a given subject, and you've got to you've got to write a pastoral letter, which is such a bizarre experience. You have someone write to you with a deep, actually a conversation which you probably would want to have in person, and you have to write a letter back. So it's incredibly forced and incredibly false, and feels so. Yeah, the real kind of thing is something very like, I'm really concerned that my kid may be kind of being, going down a strange path. I'm a bit worried about them. You just say, hey, look, can we just meet up and have a coffee and have a proper chat? Rather than, hey, I wrote you a letter, because that's not what people want. So it was a very, very strange experience, and I came away feeling so deflated. So, I mean, where I got assessed was up near Ely Cathedral. And we're told that if you go into cathedrals, say you are here for an assessment, they'll let you in free, because most cathedrals charge to enter. I wandered along and said, I'm just being assessed, and I'm to be for clergy. Is there somewhere I could just go and have a quiet pray? I must have looked so shell-shocked or kind of just distressed. I have no idea. But they said, oh, yes, we'll get a vicar for you. And they went and they clearly thought I was in some sort of emotional distress and turmoil. It was not a good look. But, I mean, at the end of it, they then spend like days discussing and assessing. They send an assessment to the bishop, who then says whether they're going to fund you. Because actually sending people away to university for 2-3 years is very expensive. And actually, they don't want to, it sounds horrible, they don't want to invest money in people who are going to fail. They really want people who are going to do well.
So the church pays for you to go to seminary. Oh, that's cool.
So it's a seminary, more an American kind of Catholics thing.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. So it's theological college. So it's basically God thinking college, And so I went up to Oxford to one of the colleges there, and it was cool. So I had 3 years. I had a 2-year course, and I had a third year where basically, what do you want to do? Because I arrived with a bachelor's degree already. And so, well, we can't do another bachelor's because it's just pointless. So I did the kind of the basic stuff which I had to do, and then I did a graduate diploma. And then in my third year, I basically applied for everything which was going. So there was an exchange to Rome, and there was a 2-week pilgrimage to the Holy Land when it wasn't getting bombed, which was a nice change. And so I just applied for it, and I got to go and do some kind of very strange but very amazing experiences, which was wonderful. So yeah.
That's cool. And you mentioned in a text between us, and I was like, don't tell me anything else. Wait till the podcast. But you just sent me this. Oh, by the way, I might have heckled Pope Francis.
Okay, yeah. So there is a long-standing ecumenical exchange between the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. So in Rome,
like the the Jets, right?
And so there are basically lots of countries have got theological colleges in Rome. So there's the Venerable English College, there's the Venerable American College, the Scottish College. All the different countries have got where they send some of their students who are going to be ordained as Roman Catholic priests. So I was chosen by the Church of England to go down to represent the Church in Rome.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm guessing they must have been drunk or something because that's just a bad idea. So I basically went and lived in Rome with these amazing trainee priests, and they're so lovely and so gorgeous. So the new intake, we went to an audience with the Pope. So every Wednesday, the Pope does papal audience, and it's in St. Peter's Square, and it's, if you can imagine, a cross between a rock concert and a church service. It feels like that because you've got like 30,000 people all there to hear the Pope speak and to hear his reflections, all the rest of it, which is amazing. So how it works is you get the Bible passage for the day, which is read in basically all the major languages, and then the Pope. So there's the Pope Francis. He came out and he initially gave his address I think it was in Italian. And then that again was translated into all the major languages. And so after all that, and there's some prayers, which is really actually quite actually what he said, Pope Francis, I had a lot of time respect for because he was really, very, very good person. But then after that, they kind of do the, welcome to all the pilgrims from various different countries. And they do this in all the different languages again. And so they welcome all English-speaking pilgrims, and then they do shout-outs for particularly special groups. And so as the new intake for the Venerable English College, we were going to get a name. And so the rector, the father rector, who was basically the principal of the college, used to speak like this, and he was a very archetypal clergy person. He spoke very precisely and had just talk like this. We do not shout, but we do speak very, very carefully. And he basically said, when Pope Francis said, welcome to the Venerable English College, I want you to cheer very loudly so that the Holy Father can hear us.
Oh.
Now, Abigoliah, you know me. You know I can be moderately loud normally. And I'm built for big spaces. I'm built for, I was taught how to project. And so, whenever these different groups were being named, there were cheers and the Pope would just carry on. And the 7 of us who were off to one side we were loud, and he did actually stop and turned and gave us away because, we were that loud. So I'm not going to claim full credit for the heckle, but it was of a very small group of us, it was enough to get Pope Francis to stop. So
that's amazing. And you know what, though? You did what you were asked to do.
Yeah. If I'm given permission to do something, I will, full ball.
Your vicar was like, cheer loud enough that God can hear you. And if you make the Pope turn, he's supposed to be the direct line.
He's Jesus vicar. So so if I get a thumbs up from him, then I'm going to take it. But
Sarah, I'd love to talk to you about comedy. It's clear you're a big comedy fan. What do you remember
honestly,
when growing up?
So when you say, what sort of comedy is kind of going to hit your buttons? my brain did fizz, and I just and there'd been so many things that kind of, oh yeah, what about this? What about this? What about it? Like, you know, and just every so often was like, oh, I forgot about that one. Because I think I had loads of people say, oh, this is going to be, this one's good, this one, and then I kept.
Do you remember when you were growing up? Was there something which made you go, oh, that's mine. That's the one that I get. That speaks to me.
So I mean, I grew up with a combination of older television, so in terms of like recording like old movies and such like, and but also Radio 4, and that was always on in the kitchen. So like all the big comedy stuff, which you've covered some of already, like like Clue and you know, News Quiz and Just a Minute, all those things. Actually, they're those really incredible, long-running, very funny series. But also some of the more older stuff like Julian and Sandy, which I think you kind of briefly mentioned in season 1, around the Horn, the Goon Show. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with you on that. The Goon Show,
really thought I was going to get like thrown out of the country. Thank you, Reverend Sara.
There are bits which are good. There are bits like, oh my, yeah, it's proper cringe. It's like of its time. And actually, you have to recognise it is of its time, but also it's just, no, honey, we don't do that no more. And it's like, yeah, I mean, Spike Milligan is incredibly funny, and his books are brilliant. If you ever get a chance to try and find his copy of the Old Testament according to Spike Milligan, it is an incredibly funny book, brilliantly written, very, very well done. It's a fabulous, it's a very light-hearted read, but it's very, very good. But him doing the accent and the voices, I mean, I was not comfortable about. So there's some of those things there which are not so great. Same with Hancock's Half Hour, which I've just finished listening to because I've just caught up, and there again, it's some of it's funny, and then other bits are just kind of it's of its time. You know, and certain catchphrases which are taken from all of these things are very, very good. And actually, they have, you know, they're part of the zeitgeist. But also, I mean, yes, Minister, yes, Prime Minister. I adore that. It's my comfort go-to thing.
Yeah,
and just I love the wordiness of it. I love the wordplay, and actually, kind of the back and forth between Humphrey Appleby and Jim Hacker is just so beautiful. And then kind of Bernard just pipe up with these little one-liner kind of kickers, and it's just superb, absolutely. Yeah. And again, this is stuff which I've got that as an audio copy, and I would just, if I just can't think of anything to listen to, or I've run out of shows, I'll just stick it on because it's just gentle, good background stuff, and it still stands the test of time.
Yeah. Some of it's a little bit dated. Because this
sorry, yes, of course. Abigoliah, take your headphones off. It's fine.
It's all right. No, Abigoliah has seen it, but we haven't put the episode out yet. But a small spoiler, because in a scene where Jim Hacker, as Prime Minister, is convinced that one of his cabinet members is plotting against him, he says to Humphrey, "It's envy, you know. Dudley's consumed by envy."
One of the 7 Dudley sins.
At the end of the table, exactly.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I jumped all over your line. But yeah, no, it's just so beautiful. And also, like in the first episode of Prime Minister, when they're talking about nuclear defence, I think it's the first episode, where they're talking about whether the Russians know that in Britain, that Jim Hacker would never use nuclear weapons.
It's a bluff. I probably wouldn't use it.
Yes, but they don't know that you probably wouldn't.
They probably do.
Yes, they probably know that you probably wouldn't, but they can't certainly know.
They probably certainly know that I probably wouldn't.
Yes, but even though they probably certainly know that you probably wouldn't, they don't certainly know that although you probably wouldn't, there's no probability that you certainly would.
And this back and forth, boom, 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 and this line gets more and more convoluted, and it's just absolutely, it's genius. I love it. And yeah, I absolutely, sorry, I know this is what we're talking about, but yeah, I absolutely adore this one. And then the Monty Python, I grew most up on the movies of Monty Python, but I've watched the Flying Circus. And again, Flying Circus, there are bits which are just absolutely gorgeous, and there are bits like, why did that get made? Why did that make the cut? You know, and like if you go to the movies are far more polished, I think, Tom, you said, and actually like Meaning of Life, where they put all the kind of the better bits together, are brilliant because they have been refined and polished, and they're just gorgeous. Whereas the original series they are properly mad. But you know, again,
they've got 13 half hours to get out and no time.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's also there's a lot of energy and a lot of really kind of half-formed ideas which kind of just got through the sieve rather than actually kind of just being a bit more round, a bit more fully formed. But in terms of actually that change in style of how to do comedy, absolutely amazing. So so I understand why you didn't put Flying Circus onto the shelf, but at the same point, I think actually Monty Python as an entity probably should have ended up there.
Okay. So, I mean, I agree that like they changed the game. I totally agree. But the shelf is for the show. So you know.
Yeah, no,
what about The Vicar of Dibley? Did you watch it when you were younger?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Dibley came out in 1994?
Yeah.
So started when I was about 12. And it kind of went on from there. And used to watch it with the family. And I used to really enjoy it. It was very good fun. It was, very lighthearted. And when you guys said, "Oh, can you come?" I've been and I binge watched. I do this. I binge watched the series again, and it was like putting on a comfy jacket or a comfy kind of. It's your mental support hoodie. It's got a few holes in it. It's a little bit rough around the edges, but actually, it's so comfy and so it's just lovely. And it does stand. I think some of the references are a little bit dated, and they're kind of things which would be assumed about in terms of general knowledge, which I think did feel slightly off out, not quite as relevant now. But in terms of actually the overall content, I think it stands up.
Does it feel like parish life? Are there things that they get absolutely right, which you'd think, oh, they must have had someone on the inside? Are there things that it gets wrong, which you think, no, that would never happen?
I think that the characters actually are very well written. Because I don't think if you were to take any one character, like David Horton, for example, he as a single entity does not exist. However, if you break him open, kind of put him through a prism and get the full spectrum of those elements of him, every single bit of him exists. The same with, with Alice the Verger, the same with Owen, who, the farmer who just gives way too much away. These people all exist in parish life, 100%. And this was the actually looking back with now a bit more a kind of ministry, churchy perspective rather than actually growing up as a kid watching this. Is that, I can see that's them there and that's them there. All these people exist. Yes, they've been squashed into one form, but the over officious kind of I'm actually in charge of everything. I'm going to dictate what happens. That person exists. The very keen but slightly naive person definitely exists. The slightly mad and does all sorts of weird stuff with baking and crochet and all the rest of it. That person exists. You know, and I think you can go to any parish and if you chat honestly with the local vicar, they'll say that person exists. And I think, Dawn French was, I think from looking back, I think definitely was a real breakaway from the traditional kind of form of a vicar on TV, be it straight or comedy. Because generally always would have been a man, because actually this is the first year that women were actually allowed to be ordained, which is huge. But they're generally male. They were either a drunk and old, or they were kind of innocent, keen, and a bit naive, or they were a bit inept, or they were very earnest but very nervous at the same time. And these are the kind of your tropes, regardless of actually whether it's a serious show or if it's a comedy show. That's what you're getting. And to actually have Geraldine, who is such a wonderful kind of actual human person, though she actually has her flaws, but she's not completely flawed. She has her gifts and her skills, but she doesn't hold on to it too preciously. She gives a good sermon, she also gives a rubbish sermon. That's a real realish vicar. Again, she doesn't exist as one person, but these characteristics, they do exist within it, and it's a really, I think, a much better interpretation than say something like Father Ted. You guys are going to be covering Father Ted?
Well, so let me get your steer on this, because Father Ted is a big show, and it's one that's come up. And because we're doing it in themes, we haven't yet had a theme which would obviously include Father Ted. But I would like Abigoliah to see it. am I allowed to show it to her?
Yeah,
I
no,
remember Abigail, on episode 0, I remember you saying something like, we might be watching some shows which are made by people that we now know are baddies.
Yeah.
And that's very much true.
Yes.
Basically, we're asking you as a trans woman if we're allowed to watch Father Ted. Not as a vicar, not as a comedy fan.
From a purely kind of critical perspective, the show is very, very funny. It holds on to all those vicarly tropes. It is a little bit silly, and because it has the slapstick stuff. If you remove the fact that Grand Lion is a horrible turfy person and not a very nice guy, allegedly, I think he's been convicted of some stuff. But yeah, so if you go and have a look, you can see the stuff that he's been accused of. That's entirely up to you. It's the same way that a certain wizarding author has also gone to that particular route. That's a real shame. That really does it makes it very difficult to kind of enjoy. But actually, knowing the show, actually seeing those bits from it, especially the Christmas special in the department store. Yeah, exactly. It's gorgeous. And having spent time within the Roman Catholic Seminary and seeing these, there are Dougals and there are Jacks.
Yes. It's such an amazing show. There's nothing else quite like it.
It's brilliant, and it's so clever, and it has some really good bits to it. It's just a shame that not the on-screen time, but those around it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of actually watching, I think it'd be a really good thing in terms of because it is actually, I think, culturally quite important. But also, I think it's also just worth being aware of who is involved with it, and it's tough. So that's not a clear answer, and I apologise, but it is an honest answer.
I think you bring up a good point because we're watching comedies to enjoy them, but also discuss what they mean for, like, the social history of kind of the country, really, and how it's shaped comedy and how it's shaped British culture in general. So yeah, I mean, for that reason, it's like, okay, well, maybe we should look at it, but
there are certain key elements which have become those catchphrases which have kind of just expanded beyond, like Mrs. Dog with a cup of tea. Oh, go on, you have a cup of tea now. Go on. Go on. And that is, it's absolutely beautiful. And that kind of has just been taken out into the mainstream. Actually, I think it's probably less common now, but that was a thing growing up. Yeah, that kind of, those elements were there. And I think that it's worth just having an awareness of it. And sometimes we have people like, it's like Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, there are some incredible racist tropes within it. But actually, in terms of our understanding within the movie, I think it's actually quite important to still see it.
Yeah.
So if as long as we can be aware of the flaws and we can address those issues, that's okay. I think trying the whole idea of separating the art from the artist, I disagree. I think it was Nish Kumar who did his tour. And he'd say about, you can't, what about Hitler? Hitler was an artist. Can we not look at his art and say, actually, it's quite good? He did all horrible things, but he's an artist. It doesn't work like that. And so being aware, absolutely, kind of recognizing the damage that the creators have done is also useful, especially when they are, just targeting a tiny, tiny, tiny minority. So trans people are like, what, 1-2% of the population? We are... not scary. Actually, I'm a little bit scary. I'm seriously. I've said this to so many people. Every single freaking person laughs at me when I say this.
It's hard for.
It's the face.
Wow.
Make that face. We're going to laugh at you.
And you're also wearing your vicar collar thingy. Like, it's hard.
Now
you're like,
scared.
I'm scared. Yeah, now terrified. Now I can't see it because you're covering it up. Now. But yeah, just real quick, and Tom, you'll probably want to edit this out, but going back to Gone with the Wind and covering cultural, like, movies and stuff in podcasts, one of my favorite podcasts, What Went Wrong, covers Gone with the Wind, and I think they handle it really well. That's just my suggestion to you both to listen to that episode.
There's also the estimable movie podcast Best Pick.
Yes.
Which I have some connection to, which covered Gone with the Wind. And I hope we also handled those issues gracefully.
I was like, I'm sure I haven't listened to that one. I have to go back and listen to that. But I want to get back to Geraldine Granger.
Sorry,
real
yes.
fast.
Yes.
So when you were going through, it's not called seminary here. What's it called again?
Theological college.
Theological college.
Or vicar school.
Or vicar. I like vicar school. When you were going through vicar school, did you ever look at Geraldine Granger, the character, as a type of role model? I mean, I know she's a sitcom character and she is also ridiculous, but
she's also very personable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, she has got, she has engages with her congregation. She can talk to all the people, even like David Horton, who is like the antagonist in that setup. She can still talk to him. Yes, they spar and they jab, but actually she still connects with him. And I would like to think and hope that if he was having a crisis, or he was needing some spiritual guidance, or he needed to just talk to somebody, he could still go to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important. So I think that approachability is incredibly important. I mean, there are so many clergy in real life and actually portrayed on television who are judgmental, who are aloof, who are kind of just not easy to approach. And actually, Geraldine's not that. I think if I was grieving, I would want to go and speak to her. I think that with all the comedy, once you strip away actually the comedy stuff, there's a serious, personable person there as well. And I think that is really important, because actually for clergy, we are servants. We are there to serve our parishes, serve our communities, to serve God. And if you are unapproachable, if you are, that person who nobody can feel comfortable talking to, then you're not doing the job properly. Genuinely. So that's me getting very serious for 2 seconds. But, the church has got such a bad reputation for getting it wrong. It's really important when actually we can get it right, and actually, that we aren't seen as someone who's going to judge. We aren't seen as someone who's going to kind of say, well, you have your relationship's breaking down. Well, you have to go back to them because you clearly, you married them. Therefore, God means you must stay together. No, because if you're in a domestic abuse relationship, get the hell out immediately at once, and come. We will get you to a refuge. We'll get you sorted. That's what the clergy we need. We don't need the clergy who are going to be judgmental and actually kind of condemn someone who's going through a horrible experience, because that's not what they need. Actually, if we look at the Bible, that's not what Jesus would do, because shockingly, he does very little condemnation. But it's the church has got a bad reputation from a few very hard line apples. I'm not going to say bad apples, because I think that's a different thing, but actually their understanding of theology is very much kind of it's kind of Mother Teresa-ish. If you it'd be worth listening to her. If you do, he did what now? The history podcast, brilliant, love it. She kind of goes into a lot about Mother Teresa in one of her episodes. Worth listening to just to get full understanding of what that means. But Jesus was never about punishing people for what they've gone through. He wasn't about having a go at people and kicking them when they're down. He was very much, you're loved, you're forgiven, we're going to help you. That's, to me, what the church should be, and especially the clergy should be. And if we can't do that, we're not doing the job properly, and we shouldn't be wearing the collar. We shouldn't be involved at all, because surely being involved in church, especially being in the role, a very visible role of a vicar, you should be embodying the teachings of Jesus as best you possibly can. I have yet to turn water into wine, dagnammit, but I'm going to soon. I'm going to figure it out. But actually, Jesus, throughout any interaction, if in doubt, he shows compassion and love. And as clergy, but also as just Christians as a whole, that's kind of where we should be leading. And especially those who are weaponizing Christianity and Christian nationalism, we're seeing a lot over in America, and it's beginning to percolate through to the UK as well. Jesus was really clear that he doesn't have a kingdom. He does not have a country. He is the king of everywhere, and actually that has no boundaries. And shockingly, Jesus was never about saying you're okay, you're not okay, you're the right sort of color, and here's my color chart of who is not acceptable. He welcomed everybody and just said, if you show love to one another, if you love God and you love your neighbor, you're cool. And we should keep it that simple.
My wife talks about the American Guns for Jesus lobby. And what's most remarkable about that, I think, is that they can't see the contradiction.
No.
They profess not to.
Yeah, this is one thing, especially all those who are kind of, we need to be pro-life because Jesus is pro-life, which is absolutely, he is pro-life, but actually you can't say I'm pro-life but also I'm pro-gun, because guns take lives, be it animal life or human life. That's what they're built to do. That is their entire purpose, and it's I understand the original logic of having gun, but these were musket firing single barrels. Have to put your shot in and you did and shove it down. It takes a minute to get to reload your gun. Not an AR-15 where you can get through 30 rounds in as many seconds. This. Sorry, this is getting very political. You may want to cut this because
it's up to you.
I don't mind, but I probably get a lot of hate. But I'm used to that. But the Constitution was written in a very different time, and actually. Yeah. I don't think if the founding fathers, I would hope there'd be some founding mothers as well, but actually don't think that if the weapons which exist today were existed then, they would write it in the same way. Mm-hmm. And I think because things do change, things evolve. That's the whole nature of society and of humanity. We change, we evolve. Some things improve, some things don't. But actually, we need to respond to that responsibly as a society and as a community.
I always find it particularly ironic that Americans hold so fast to something called the Second Amendment.
Yes.
And again, they seem incapable of appreciating the irony of that either.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things that also, the Falstead Act, which was when they brought in prohibition, that was an amendment to the Constitution. They did another amendment getting rid of it. It can be done.
Yes.
And
of course.
This is where, it's so frustrating because actually it's just the political will and money do not want it to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, because it basically says, well, how much is a child's life worth? How much is, the thousands of people who get murdered every year in not just America, but actually, all over the world, who get murdered by guns. How much is that life worth? And
so do you think comedy has a role to play? Because we're going to do for season 3 satire. We're going to look at some satire shows. Do you think comedy has a role to play in
100%.
Changing the conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we need to. I mean, satire holds up that mirror to ourselves and take it to the ridiculous degree. And I think that's really important. It's also very difficult when actually those in power are, just completely ridiculous. And hopefully you're going to cover Brassite at some point, because I think Brassite's brilliant. And
I would like to. Tom, I saw one sketch, and he's like, "Well, now we can't watch it."
We have done the day today.
This is a sticking point. This is a sticking point.
Okay, so Brassite is brilliant, and the whole the paedophile episode incredibly hard hitting, and again it just highlighted particularly. So after this actually got questions in the House, in Parliament, and they said, I think this episode should be banned because it kind of encourages paedophilia. No, it really didn't. It highlighted the hysteria around it. But then it also, when the politician, I want to say, was it Anne Widdecombe? I might be wrong. I want to say it was her, but if it's not her, I do apologize. But it was a female politician and was asked, have you actually seen the episode? No. So these people, they were going off reports to reports. So it was proper, kind of third party, kind of bad reporting.
Well, that goes all the way back to Life of Brian, and then to Father Ted, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Life of Brian, it got boycotted by the Catholic Church. There were protests outside the cinema, and the thing is, if you watch Life of Brian, which is a brilliant movie, very very funny. In the middle, his mum comes out and says, "He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy." Which is absolutely beautiful as a single line, which again kind of gets quoted, but they make it very obvious he is not Jesus. He just happens to be around that time and just happens to be kind of in the same area.
Side note.
Yes.
Have you guys ever seen, so when Kevin Smith made Dogma also got boycotted, and they boycotted his movie around where he was living at the time, I think in Jersey, and they were like, hundreds of people are going to show up. It wound up being like 20 people.
Yeah.
So he showed up and protested his own movie.
Organizers in Eatontown had hoped for hundreds to join them in the protest against the movie Dogma. Instead, they got less than 24, but they were joined by this man. He wouldn't admit it, but he looked and sounded suspiciously like Dogma's writer, director, co-star, and New Jersey resident, Kevin Smith.
I don't think it stands for anything positive.
What does it stand for?
I don't know, but I've been told not good.
Lovely.
And and a news channel was like, "Are you him?" And he's like, "No, he's him," and points to his placard with Jesus on it and wouldn't acknowledge that's Kevin Smith. I'll send you guys the link. It might be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
But that also that was also then kind of covered in Father Ted. There's a Father Ted episode where they are told to go and boycott some random movie. I can't remember what the movie is. And so it's just literally Ted and Dougal in the rain with these rather sad-looking placards saying, "Damn this sort of thing."
Careful now. Down with this sort of thing.
Hello, Father Crilly.
Hello, Jim.
Father Abigoliah. I seen your picture in the paper.
What?
Here, have a look. So it's a blasphemous film, Father, is it?
Oh, it is.
What type of thing is it?
Mad stuff. It's very immoral, Jim. You wouldn't like it.
And eventually they go in and watch it. And it's a great kind of Streisand effect. I think even before the Streisand effect existed, because it brought some attention to these things. But it's just like, I don't know. It's bizarre what people do and what they get het up about for no obvious reason.
Do you think the Vicar of Dibley had a positive impact on the Church of England? Did the Vicar of Dibley come out and then Church of England attendance, did it go up? Or were people more open to religion? Because the thing about being an American in the UK is I'm always told how secular this country is. It's so secular. And yet, going back, we've had Father Ted, we have the Vicar of Dibley.
Morecambe and Wise are always dressing up as monks, and Dave Allen couldn't wait to get into a cassock.
Nuns on the Run, which is a brilliant
Nuns
movie.
on the Run, yes. And the Pythons are always dressing up in clerical garb and so on and so on.
I think that I'm not sure. I don't know the stats in terms of whether attendance went up, but I think actually presenting a female vicar in 1994, which is when literally the first set of female clergy had been ordained a few months earlier, incredibly powerful. Because yes, the church thing is quite slow at doing stuff. It's very slow at actually kind of being progressive, which is such a shame. But actually, this show portraying a positive, relatable female vicar is such a boon. Because yes, you do get. Are you Geraldine? And actually, I might have got that nickname partway through parish life.
Really?
Oh my god! So this is when I was still in parish before I'd come out, and it was the head of drama of one of my local secondary schools, and who I was doing a lot of work with, and she decided I was just like Geraldine, and I thought I'm taking that. And so I took it on. I explained to her what was going on, and I said, "Oh my god!" I said, "Yeah." So actually, it was gorgeous, but it was completely, unintended. But she saw that approachability. Well, I'm going. So I'm rebounding. Yeah, I'm going to sound really conceited now, but that was actually that I was approachable. That I was vaguely amusing, and actually that I was not like your archetypal kind of straight laced vicar. And so I 100% took that. It's not Geraldine is a very good thing. And actually, if we could get more people who were that engageable. I think in the pilot episode, which I don't think you guys actually covered, where it was in the opening scenes with the Reverend Pottle, who is like 102 or something ridiculous. He's a very dry, very kind of old man, very kind of your classic vicar. And there's an attendance of 4, including the verger and the organist. So you've got literally kind of a couple of people in the church. And then when Geraldine comes in, and if nothing else, out of curiosity, it's like, there's a woman! The church is filled to bursting. And honestly, if you could have that sort of impact, that's phenomenal. That is such an amazing space where you can actually show some really amazing kind of engagement. Actually, you can really show people what God's about and actually what Jesus is about, which is kind of what we're there for. But we get so het up in the politics and the sidebars and the nonsense. And that's frustrating because we really ought to be kind of showing that love, and that'd be a cool thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you were at a parish for a while, but then you left. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so how was it? So when you get ordained, you do 3 to 4 years as a curate. So you work under a vicar. So basically, it's on-job training, effectively. and then you go off and you get your own parish. So I applied and you get interviewed. So the whole kind of Geraldine just being sent by the bishop, that hasn't existed for a long time. So that kind of that setup was slightly off, but it's fine. So you go and you have to be interviewed. You have to meet the parish. You have to go around and tour the whole place and see the schools. And they basically they're just sounding you out, which is fine. Because again, how are you supposed to decide whether this person is actually going to be a good fit in the parish, or actually you want to work with them, and so on and so forth? So
just real quick, a clarifying question. Like the community hires you, not like, oh, that's really cool, actually. Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
So it can be, if you are set up a new worshipping community, the bishop could appoint you. But actually, how it works, you've got to do an application form, you've got to get shortlisted, you've got to be interviewed by people who represent the parish, and you get to meet the parishes. I mean, when I was there, we had a meal, and there were like 4 different tables because there were 4 applicants, and every so often everybody would rotate round apart from the clergy, and so you'd have to talk to. I have never talked so much in my life. I talk a lot, if you might have noticed, and I can happily talk all night. After about 4 hours, I was just gone, and you just because you have to slightly repeat yourself. B, you've got to actually kind of just actually be yourself. You can't just say, "Look, guys, I've had enough. I just need a minute. I just need to go chill for a while because my social battery's drained," and you just have to keep plowing on. So so you do this whole thing. So they chose to hire me, but they hired me as a supposed straight man. And during lockdown, I came out as trans. I spent a long time working with my bishop in terms of actually processing it and actually kind of getting understanding. Because the first thing when I was kind of like, oh, that's what's going on, I was like, I don't want to piss off God. As a trans person, am I going to upset God doing this? And I was like, oh, okay, so I needed to go and need some advice. So spent a long time reading, praying, talking this through. So it wasn't just done on the hoof. And so I recorded a video explaining what was happening. I wrote a letter which kind of accompanied that for those who don't particularly like videos or didn't have access to the internet, explaining what was going on and basically saying, look, this is who I am. And actually who I was is who I was, but actually this is me, but actually it's kind of who I was plus. Because actually the bits of me that was still are. Actually I've kept the name I used to use as one of my middle names. Because actually that's part of who I am. I know there are some, every trans person's story is different. There are some who I will never mention my dead name and I will not have no association with it whatsoever. Actually, the person who I was before is still part of the person who I am now. Actually, the experience I've had before are still relevant to the person I am now. And so I didn't want to kind of just completely just remove this. I say I always got my old name rather than my dead name. But that's just me. So everyone's slightly different. And so, so having come out as trans and that I was going to have a divorce because my now ex-wife didn't like the idea of having a female or trans partner, which is fine, that's a thing. So I was put on extended leave and that went from 3 months to ended up being a year. And during that time, one of my parishes decided that I was in fact a terrible, terrible vicar. Not that because I was trans, but just because I'm a terrible, terrible vicar. Which is not a good advert, but if you have a parish spend, like to hire me, please do. But
that realisation did coincide with you coming out as trans.
Shockingly, yes. Having been there for 4 years, suddenly they realised how awful I was as a vicar. So I mean, timing's just such a bad thing. It's just these things happen. Anyway, so that basically ended up. So I had 2 parishes. So one parish was like, when you're coming back, we love you, we miss you. You're a great person. I'm still in touch with them. They're fabulous people. The other parish was like, nope, don't want her back. Nope. And so basically it became untenable. And that sucked. Because, I mean, not only is it where else I felt actually God had called me to be where I was supposed to be, it was huge. So the problem is that when you're a vicar, the housing goes with the job. They have what's called tied housing. Now, I don't own property, so you lose your job, you're homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Much like being PM.
Yeah. But they get much better pay.
Yes.
They get a lot more rubbish kind of thrown at them. I wouldn't want that job for anything. No. I mean, no, just no.
The the Church of England and your bishop stood beside you when you decided to transition.
Yep.
That's beautiful. You know what? Listen, I'm going to pitch this idea. The three of us, we're going to get in touch with Richard Curtis, writer of the Vicar of Dibley. Vicar of Dibley reboot. Not instead of like woman, we've done that. Trans woman. We'll get the word out. We'll put it in a comedy and everyone will be like, I want a trans vicar too. Sarah, you'll be fending off the offers. You'll be Listen, this is the 2026 reboot we need. It'd be great for the church. They're already on your side. You've got Richard's email, don't you, Tom? Can you get in touch?
I can mention it.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I mean, the end problem is there are only about 12 trans clergy in the whole of the Church of England.
There were like 20 women when Geraldine Granger was created.
This
is the time.
I'm sold, but yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at acting, but yeah, I'll give it I do me really well. This is a really good caricature of myself. I mean, I've done theatre, but yeah, I'm better backstage. I'm better doing other stuff.
Now, speaking of that, this is the question I think our listeners are just waiting for us to ask, and I'm going to jump in and be the one. What's Henry Cavill like?
And I just want to go back to the very beginning when I said you're the most interesting person, and you're like, I am not. You are a vicar. You have transitioned. You worked with the police, and you've worked with Henry Cavill, and you're like, nothing interesting has ever happened to me. What's Henry Cavill like?
He's a nice guy. I mean, I haven't seen him.
Dish the dirt, Sarah. What's he really like?
Tell us what Superman is like.
He was the year below me at school, and we ran in very different social circles. So I was in the choir. I did just nerdy stuff. I wasn't. Yeah, he was far more sporty, far more kind of. He was very, very different kind of social grouping. But we did Grease together. So in the upper sixth, so the final year of sixth form, he was in the lower sixth, so the first year of sixth form, doing A-level, so kind of between the ages of 16 and 18. We both did the school play, which was going to be Grease the musical. And so he was Danny, obviously. I was Doody, who's one of the other T-Birds, but had a much smaller role in the movie that basically gets subsumed into almost a non-personish. In the proper musical, a far bigger role actually gets a solo, which is quite cool. And so so we were both in that, and so we did the thing. We didn't really. I wouldn't say we hang out. I wouldn't say we're friends, but yeah, he's a nice enough guy. But that was 26 odd years ago, and I feel so old. That sucks. You know when you think. It's like, when you talk to people, and it's like, it's 20 odd years. I was like, oh no, I'm not. I'm mid-40s. It sucks.
Every time
happens to the best of us.
Every time something's 20 years ago, in my head, it's like 5 or 6 years ago. Yes. You know what I mean? Like the shows that I like to watch, I'm like, they're old, but they're not that old. And then someone's like, no, that came out 20 years ago. And I'm like, that's not how time works. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, it's shocking. It's a lot. It feels such a long time ago, but also it doesn't feel. I don't feel mid-40s. I kind of feel mid-20s.
I have a question about Henry, because like obviously you guys were at school together and you were so young. Was there any, you know how sometimes you meet people and you're like, oh, you're gonna be someone? Did you, like when you were in Greece with him, were you like, oh, you're gonna do this, like this is gonna?
I think he already was doing stuff when he was even at school. So yeah, he was already kind of coming up, and I think this is vaguely remembered kind of half truths. I may be completely just lying through my teeth here because I'm very good at that. But I think he'd been signed up to do something with Disney and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, he was becoming. He was starting to do things even at that age, and so it was like he's gonna be somebody, you know. And actually, seeing him in the Superman. I mean, honestly, the weirdest thing is when you see someone you know as a figurine as a toy. Like when Superman came out, it was a toy. Yeah. That's a really weird feeling. Really weird. Sorry. But yeah, so when he was in Superman, I thought he was really good. He kind of embodied that darkness which they were going for, but he didn't have the duality of character which Christopher Reeves does. So like the Clark Kent versus Superman, Christopher Reeves it's a huge gulf between the two, and he does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for
the moments where you can see him move from one character to another, the best bit is the bit they cut out of Superman 2. But they did it as a screen test, and you can see it in the rebuilt Richard Donner cut of Superman 2.
Yes.
Where Lois Lane suspects that Clark Kent is Superman and pulls a gun on him. And when the gun fires, he just changes.
Yeah.
A mistake. I made a mistake because I risked my life instead of yours.
Lois, don't be insane.
And don't fall down, because you're just going to have to get up again.
No, Lois, now don't be crazy now. What?
It is you.
And he's Superman, even though he's still dressed the same, his hair's still the same.
Yes.
And then he has to come clean, and then Lois Lane reveals that the gun was firing blanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Christopher, I think Christopher, for me personally, is probably the best Superman.
By a mile.
Yeah. And I think obviously 4 definitely shouldn't have happened. 3, honestly, when they turn sorry, this is going to be off a complete tangent. When the robot turns the person into that honestly, as a kid, that freaked me out.
Nightmare fuel. Oh my god.
Honestly, it took me such a long time to get over that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, 1, 2, and 3, brilliant. After that, it should have stopped. The Superman Returns, I can't remember the Superman Returns. What was the guy who did that? I can't remember his name.
Brandon Routh.
Thank you. I think he was pretty good actually, because he kind of carried on that particular style. But then Cavill went down that very much darker, grittier realism route. But he didn't bring the playfulness, the kind of nerdiness of Reeves' interpretation of Clark Kent. And the whole point is that is his camouflage. For Superman, Clark Kent is that camouflage. It needs to be far stronger than, I'm just Superman wearing a suit. No.
Well, this is what Richard Donner figured out. The tragedy of Superman is that Clark Kent loves Lois Lane, and Lois Lane loves Superman.
Yeah.
And that could never be resolved. And that was what was so perfect about those especially first 2 films, because Margot Kidder, I think, was a little tired and emotional, and therefore only makes a cameo appearance in Superman 3.
I guess my question, is there anything you'd like people to know about the Church of England in 2026? I just feel like, I don't know, religion has been, as we kind of mentioned, weaponized so much by negative influence. Is there anything that you'd like people to know about, I don't know, your belief system or the church in general that they might not have?
So I think
that us heathens don't think about.
There's no such thing as heathens. God loves everybody. Actually, 2-second takeaway is that this the church has got such a bad reputation for being judgmental, for being kind of very opinionated about things that really shouldn't have opinions on. But actually, the church as a whole is trying to do some good. Actually, if you look at most food banks, they have heavy church involvement, and not just church, but just cross denomination. The churches are involved in trying to help food banks. They're trying to support people who are going through incredibly hard times. And as far as yes, the England, the United Kingdom is quite secular, but people still come to church when it matters. When when somebody dies, you go to the church because actually you want to have that space to be able to grieve. When you are celebrating the birth of a child, you come for baptism. Most families do, even if you don't see them again. And that's brilliant, because actually it's about coming together to celebrate and actually having God as part of that conversation, which is brilliant. And the same with weddings as well. It's wonderful. And so the church is so much more than the negative stereotypes. It is so much more than being judgmental. There are judgmental clergy, but there are a majority of clergy, the majority of people who go to church are genuinely kind, loving, compassionate, caring people who are trying to do the best they can and living to this what Jesus taught, not what people think he taught, but actually what he taught to the best of their abilities, which is kindness, compassion, inclusion and love. And that's really what it's all about. And if you are a divorcee, if you are if you've got addiction issues, if you are just general Joe blogs off the street, or you are welcome. you're absolutely welcome. It can be daunting because like the church buildings are really not nice places to go into if you've never been in them before. Big doors, big buildings, really hard to see into. That's scary. But honestly, if you cross that threshold, you'll find generally some lovely, lovely people who will just want to welcome you, give you a cup of coffee, and be nice and kind and loving. They hopefully won't want to serve Mrs. Cropley-style sandwiches or similar. But, they will genuinely want to care. Yes, people get it wrong, absolutely, but we're only human. But honestly, the church as a whole is trying to live up to those ideals that Jesus taught us and actually are given in the Gospels. Yeah, people get it wrong. People get too het up about, you're doing it wrong and therefore you're going to hell. That's not what Jesus ever did. He never went down that route. Mm-hmm. He said that actually you are loved. You are known. You are, you're not other. You are, you're part of us. And that's really what actually the church, when it's getting it right, is about. And so, Abigoliah, when you say you're a heathen, no, you're not. You're loved by God. So suck it.
Put that on a t-shirt. You're loved by God, so suck it.
The best t-shirt I ever saw was, God loves everyone equally, but I'm his favourite. Yeah. And I see, saw that in Oxford, but that's absolutely just beautiful.
So, Sarah,
yes.
We need to wrap this up. I have a couple of questions we'd like to finish on. So one is, we talked about a lot of different comedy shows. Is there anything which you think we might have overlooked? Is there anything which is a favourite of yours that maybe wouldn't be on other people's lists that you think we should definitely try and seek out if this podcast, as we hope it will, runs and runs?
I'm sure it will, because there's a huge amount to cover. I mean, so now your remit, does it cover? Because I mean, old movies, like proper old British comedies, like the Ealing catalogue is amazing, and I don't think that's you're saying that's not going to be part of the movie.
No, movies are explicitly excluded. I haven't ruled out doing a movies season at some point, but for the time being, movies are excluded.
Yeah, that's Tom's other podcast. So yeah, we're looking for TV shows,
okay, fine.
Or radio. It can be radio as well.
So I mean, so Just a Minute, folks. So Radio Just a Minute. I mean, that's been going forever. That is so clever, so simply done, and it's going from strength to strength to strength, and it continually works as a radio show. It's brilliant, and it's so clever. In terms of shows, so there was so many. I keep kind of my head keep going. Oh, what about this one? So I mean, Mr. Bean, very funny,
yes.
And actually it does stand. I mean, yeah, in terms of the visuals, it dates, but in terms of actually the quality of the comedy and Rowan Atkinson's acting abilities is just brilliant. In a similar vein, Thin Blue Line. Do you remember Thin Blue Line, Tom?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Belle's particularly proud of that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's really very funny. The obviously kind of with the policey side of it, it lights up all my little buttons in a very good way. So that's also a very good one. The British Empire.
Yes.
That bubbled up this morning to think of, so I've just been kind of thinking about. That was a very clever one. It has all the kind of the classic kind of stereotypical character tropes, but in terms of the setting, it's quite clever. In terms of what it does, it's quite clever. I know you've done Yes Mr. Prime Minister, which is absolutely gorgeous. I think I've heard mention that Dad's Army is going to be done at some point.
Yep.
And also, it's very good. Trying to think, because you've done a load of the stuff which I initially thought of you have done or you've mentioned, which is brilliant. So, but honestly, goodness gracious me.
Oh, yes.
Now that is really, I mean, especially kind of flipping those. So, Goodness Gracious Me was a all Asian cast, very funny, and a lot of it was flipping the kind of Asian tropes on their heads to the British, and going for an English sketch is just absolutely beautiful and brilliant. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, I think that one's definitely worth a watch, because actually it did kind of knock, it kind of broke down some of those tropes and those kind of negative stereotypes and kind of those negative kind of caricatures down and turned them on their head, which is brilliant. Brass Eye, which we've mentioned, excellent, superb series. I'm trying to think what else. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to finish it. I'm going to start messaging. You're going to get so sick of, what about this? What about this one? But I think,
as you say, there's no shortage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more a case of just trying to sift through and get the best bits. And that's going to be the challenge. But yeah, I mean, I know you guys are going to have so many series ahead of you. You can cover all this. Please, 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 please,
Yes.
please, please, please.
Yes.
And lastly, Sarah, we don't pay you for doing this, unfortunately, but we also don't get paid a lot ourselves. We have some loyal patrons who are now contributing some bits, and we're so grateful to them. But no one's getting rich off this. So rather than offering you payment, what we'd like to do is offer you the chance to nominate a charity of your choosing, and hopefully our listeners will go and donate.
Yes, please. So I'm going to put forward Mermaids, which is the trans youth charity. So as we kind of alluded to numerous times, being trans in the United Kingdom, actually in the world at the moment, is getting harder and harder. And actually, as a young person growing up being gender non-conforming, so being trans, non-binary, gender fluid, is really difficult. And actually being the parents of or families and friends of is quite isolating, because you generally don't have community to be able to say, well, what do we do? It can be quite challenging. So Mermaids exists to be a support network for both young people and their adults, but also to actually advocate and also to campaign to actually get better rights and supports for trans, non-binary, gender fluid young people. So incredibly important. Like I said, trans people are a very small part of the community, but we're one of the most kind of vilified and victimized, and just generally in a bad way. So if you can, please do donate what you can, because it is an amazing charitable organization. They do amazing work, and honestly, if I had access to them as a child, I think I would have done things very differently, because I didn't come until much later in life. And we need to talk to them. Far too many young trans people are unaliving themselves because they feel they're isolated. So that's a bit dark, but yeah. It's sadly true. Since the whole puberty blockers thing has come in, I think about 46 kids have unalived themselves.
So where should people go in order to donate?
So go on to, if you go on to mermaids.org.uk, or just Google mermaids, and then it's one of the first things that will come up. They are an amazing charitable organisation. Do support them either financially or with your time or whatever you can give. It's amazing, because actually, they are such a good organisation.
Great. We'll put that link in the show notes.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight.
That would be an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on that. I really don't feel worthy to come on this show.
Oh.
No, yeah. So it's been superb. So thank you so much, and good luck in carrying with all this, because I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Thank you so much. So that was Reverend Sara, everyone.
Yeah, you do know the most interesting people.
Hey, I met her through Rhea, and she continues to fascinate me every time I talk to Sarah. And what I love is she doesn't think she's interesting.
Yes, that's very charming of her. But yeah, that was a great conversation, and so unexpected. It's nice to be able to look at these sitcoms and other comedy shows from a variety of different angles. It never occurred to me that somebody like her would be also watching these shows and have grown up watching shows that I grew up watching, like Father Ted and Monty Python and so on.
Yeah,
what do you think about Father Ted now? Are you curious? Have you been warned off? Are you more enthusiastic than ever?
I mean, I'm definitely curious. I've heard a lot about Father Ted, and it's one of those things that it always comes up. I did know that the writer has since come out as a transphobe. I sometimes forget that because I haven't seen Father Ted, so it's not, it's not in my heart. Like I haven't been disappointed by anyone like you have, or Sarah has, or the rest of the world has. But I think Sarah brought up a good point about it being a touchstone, and for that, I don't think it's off bounds to watch it. I'm open to watching it personally. But I also liked what the Reverend Sara had to say. I like calling her Reverend Sara. When we're hanging out, I just call her Sarah. But what Reverend Sara had to say about Geraldine Granger. Oh my God, I'm so tired. That's the name, right? Geraldine Granger. Okay. Correct. I had a moment where I just forgot the Vicar of Dibley. And what Geraldine offers as a vicar, and her openness and warmth, and how they nailed that character, and how, when Sarah was saying how, like, that's the vicar that you want at your parish, and that's the vicar you want to be. As she was saying all that, I was like, I really want Dawn French and Richard Curtis to hear this. Like, I really hope they've gotten that feedback, because I don't know, it just touched me. It just touched me.
No, impossible. We've been very touched by people signing up to our Patreon. Thank you so much for that. If you would like to do the same, then for £3 a month, you get ad-free listening, so you can hear everything that we have to say about these various comedy shows uninterrupted by the needs of commerce. And for £5 a month, you get ad-free listening and you get special little bonus mini episodes. So at the end of each recording, we have one little extra chat about some question or other that our conversation has spurred us to talk about. So you can hear us discussing things like, from Fawlty Towers, is dialect humour necessarily racist? Or after we watch The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, is he a hero or is he a jerk? And I think these are little helpings of me and Abigoliah, which you may care to listen to. And then you can also find us in all the usual places. We have a website, allbritishcomedy.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we have a Substack where there's a little essay from me which accompanies each of the main episodes.
Yeah, so you can find us in all those places. We're also on YouTube if you ever want to watch the podcast. But guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and listening, and we will see you soon for our next episode.
See you soon. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky, and our special guest, Rev Sara Chesterfield Terry. It was a Spontaneity Shop production for the internet. Find us online at allbritishcomedy.com, join our Facebook group, sign up to our mailing list, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. Join us next time for Season 2, Episode 7, Yes, Minister.